Good one. Oh my gosh! Oh, that's a good one.
What is up, everyone? New video here on the Full Fishing Guide Service page, and today we are talking about my absolute favorite crankbait setup. And this thing has caught a ton of smallmouth and largemouth all over the nation, right? And today we're diving into why it is my favorite crankbait rod. So one of the first things that I noticed about the Alpha Angler Rebound 7-foot medium heavy S glass rod is that it was extremely light for a glass rod, and I was able to launch smaller crankbaits like a rock crawler 55 MD or an OSP EXDR very far distances on 10 to 12 pound tests. And that's key to catching these big smallmouth up here in the Great Lakes. Is you need to be able to cast far distances, deflect your bait off of as much bottom as possible to make these fish react. And yeah, it performs flawlessly at that. All right, so let's dive into the nitty gritty of the Alpha Angler Rebound rod. It is a 7-foot medium heavy, moderate fast action. Line rating is 10 to 20 pound test, and it says that the lure rating is 1/4 to 1 ounce, but the sweet spot for this rod in particular, in my opinion, is at 3/8 ounce to slightly over a half, maybe a half or 5/8, not all the way to a 3/4. So what makes this rod super unique to others on the crankbait market when it comes to glass blank technology, that this is used as S-glass or structural grade fiberglass, which allows this rod to be extremely light. And it doesn't give up on sensitivity either. A lot of glass rods on the market are kind of clunky, heavy, thick, and they don't have a ton of feel. And the feel is probably my favorite part about the Alpha Angler Rebound, because as I'm bouncing the crankbait through rocks, I can not only see it in my tip and watch that bait deflect, but I can actually feel it all the way into this exposed blank here in the reel seat. I can feel it all the way through the rod, and when a fish grabs it, you'll feel the thump and the rod load. You can almost feel it like a jig bite. And that's kind of important. A lot of times with treble hook applications, which is not a knock on any other glass rod, crankbait rod that's on the market, a lot of times the rod just gets heavy, right? You're reeling it, it gets heavy, and next thing you know, you have the fish hooked by the last treble hook in the corner of the face. So when they actually bite it, and you can feel them bite it with the Alpha Angler Rebound, you're going to feel it all the way through the blank. It's going to transmit that bite from the rod tip all the way into the handle. It's going to help you land a lot more fish. The next thing about the Alpha Angler Rebound is that it has these smaller than average guides. They're Fuji guides. I believe they're SS 316 guides, so they're super durable. The guide train is perfectly placed, so as you're fighting the fish, your guides aren't really hitting the blank as much as some of the rod blanks on the market that have less guides on the rod blank itself. Cosmetically, it's very appeasing to me. Black guides all the way up and down, except for this rear butt one. You have some of that Alpha Angler blue down into the reel seat. EVA foam, which is good because when it gets wet out, you're going to have more grip on the rod. You're not going to throw it out of your hand. Now, my favorite casting reels recently is the Shimano SLX MGL. It's not the greatest crankbait reel in the world, but it's super lightweight, and it'll balance the Alpha Angler Rebound actually pretty well. I have a crankbait on here, so I'm going to try not to hook myself. But it will balance this rod exceptionally well. And when you're crankbait fishing, you actually want that tip to point down slightly, like it is here at like a 45. That's going to help drive that crankbait deeper into the water column, and that's also going to allow you to have a lot more bites. Finally, the most important thing on a crankbait rod is when a fish actually does bite the bait, you want this rod blank to be forgiving and to flex all the way down, like 3/4 of the way through the rod. And you can see that I'm kind of reefing it on here. And that's important with treble baits, even chatterbaits, because you're going to have so much forgiveness in the middle. Even if you do jack that fish on that big sweeping hook set, you're not going to rip the treble hooks out of the fish's face.
Oh, that's a big one. I think. Decent. I feel bad that I gotta grab them this way, but treble hooks, the last thing you want to do is get one in your hand.
Alright, so let's talk about crankbait. Starting in the spring, when your water temp is in the upper 40s, all the way into the fall. And, you know, a staple of some of the very first crankbaits that people are probably going to reach out and grab that the Alpha Angler Rebound is going to throw extremely well is going to be your DT series 6, 8s, and 10s. It fishes those medium, shallow, and deep divers really well. You can feel that balsa bait vibrate through the rod. You can feel it deflect off the rocks and whatever cover you're fishing. When to stop it, let it float up and continue on. And you can, of course, feel them bite the crankbait, which is a rarity with a lot of glass style rods. So that's gonna be a round balsa bait for the springtime. Then you can go into like your ultra cold water cranking, which is gonna be your flat sided crankbaits such as a Fritz side. 7s, 9s, 5s, doesn't matter. The Rebound's gonna throw them all and you're gonna catch a lot of fish on those. Now as we move into summertime, it will throw some lighter square bills really well. If you're gonna go throw a square bill, I'd recommend going up to the chatterbounds. Just got a little bit more beef so you can rip it out and fish it through cover a little better. But fish are now moved offshore. It's summertime where we're at right now. You know, 5XDs, Series 5 striking crankbaits, the Alpha Angler Rebound is gonna throw without any issue. You're not gonna have as much casting distance as a lot of other rods, but if you need to make accurate casts off points or along deep riprap, the Alpha Angler Rebound's gonna be able to throw the Strike King 5XD Series 5 just fine. And then one of my personal favorites for fishing the deeper water with a bigger profile bait is going to be the OSP Max DR. Both of those baits will run you about 15 foot of water. They deflect great, you can fish them fast, you can fish them slow, and they're gonna get you a lot of bites. Now we're gonna fast forward in my favorite cranking season, which is gonna be that September to November time frame, late September to November time frame up here in the Great Lakes, and we're busting out our OSPs in the DR, which is gonna run like 4 to 8 foot on 10-pound test, and then your EXDR, which is one of my absolute favorite speed cranks. You could throw this thing a country mile with the Alpha Angler Rebound rod. You can throw it on like 10-pound tests, get it down to 15 foot, deflect it off everything and anything, and this guy's surefire bet to put a lot of bass in the boat for you.
There's one. Oh, that was sweet. Freaking smoke that. Little rebound, rock crawler action.
Alright, so I hope you enjoyed this video here where we talked about the Alpha Angler Rebound, and I do encourage you to hit some of the links down below. All the crankbaits will be listed, so you can head on over to Omnia Fishing, which is one of our partners on the Serious Angler Network, and check out some of the baits that they have down there below. The link to the Alpha Angler Rebound will also be down below in the description, so stay tuned for next week's video. We're getting into the tail end of our bass fishing guide season here, August, September, October. We may go a little bit into November based on the weather. If you want to reach out and book a guide trip, go over via my Facebook, Full Fishing Guide Service, or my Instagram. It's also Full Fishing Guide Service. Send me a message and we'll get a date set up for you, get you out on the water and fine tune that specific technique you want to work on, or just catch a bunch of bass. So let us know. Stay tuned for next week. Hit that subscribe button. Leave a comment down below of what your favorite crankbait rod is and setup. And we'll see you all next week.